Hey man, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me.
For anyone who doesn't know you, who do you say you are?
I'm LeMarques McClide. I'm an artist out of Atlanta, a visual artist, and I like to paint. I enjoy painting and creating different works of art, from graphic design to construction. Um, I love construction. I've been doing construction since I was 12, so that's pretty much, me and the Jess. I'm just a creator.
Awesome. And were you always a creator, like you said, at the age of 14, getting into construction, or like what got
Oh,
you going
yeah.
that way?
What got me into that? I went to the Cat School of Performing Arts High School, so I was into various forms of the arts from, theater to media production, and I was trained, in production as far as like set design,
Mm,
even building props, doing stage crew, lighting, um, audio, stage management.
yeah.
So I was always involved around.
I guess how do you get into something like that all the way back in high school?
So pretty much, I went to elementary school,
Mhm.
which was a management program,
Okay.
and I studied dance, drama, and theater, and technical theater.
Okay.
So I auditioned into the school, to get into the program, and it started at eighth grade, and then I ended up going from eighth to 12th grade and learning about all these different arts.
Got you. And to get to where we've met is you choosing to go down the architecture track.
Yeah, so I went to Southern Polytech, yeah, for architecture, old Southern Tech,
Mm,
and
good memories.
yeah, man, it didn't seem so long ago though. So yeah, it was like around 2005. I think
Mm.
when we met. No, I don't know. I can't remember when we met.
Or 2000, 2008.
Okay, dang.
Time flies, man.
Yeah, it does fly. So I started out studying architecture, for three years,
Mhm.
and then I had got a gig doing electrical,
Mm.
and man, I was just so intrigued with just the whole construction process and just actually doing the construction. It kind of brought me back to when I was a kid.
Mm.
And I was like, man, let me switch over to construction, because I had enough of architecture.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. So that was it for me. And so that's how I got my training, as far as design.
Mm.
And then I kind of just added the building techniques to it,
Right.
later on, and I just kept just doing stuff. And then I learned graphic design, and I learned photography,
Mm.
how to take photos. So that's what I pretty much do, in my day-to-day activities, coming up with different projects, you know, to do to keep me busy,
Mm.
keep my brain going because, one thing about being a creator, our brain just keeps going,
Yeah.
it's a lot of internalized thinking, especially overnight because you just constantly in your head just creating things and
Right.
building things.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess like when you got into the other trainings that you did with like graphic design, photography, and things like that, was that what you did more on your own outside of school once you finished up with construction?
Yeah, it was pretty much yeah. So I would just go places and
Mm.
travel. And I just be taking photos and um taking photos of people because I'm a people watcher,
Mm.
so it was just always intriguing to me to see what people were doing in that moment and place and time.
Mm.
So that's what kind of transpired and back in 2000, I say 16, I
Yeah.
was bored. I was real bored with my job.
Mm.
Um, and just coming home every day. I didn't really have a TV at that point in time, because I was just trying to learn myself and learn who I was. And um, I just started reading more, and one of the things that I read, it said, go back to what you was gifted as a child. That's your true passion.
Mm.
So I just ended up, building the canvas. Went home, I built the canvas, and I had wrote down a quote by
Mm,
Vivekananda, uh, and he said, manifest the divinity within you and everything harmoniously arranged around it.
mm,
So at that point in time, I was just trying to find what I was truly passionate about, and that was it. It was painting, and that's how I
gotcha.
started painting. Yeah, and I just been painting, for the last what umpteen years, 2016,
Mm,
and I started painting more after I had left my job in around 2020. Yeah, and that's when I had my first museum exhibit in Gadsden, Alabama,
oh
and
wow.
I came back home around 2021, and I just been doing art ever since. You
Mm,
know, going to different galleries, meeting different people, being influenced by other artists, other creators, and doing hosting art events, hosting
yeah.
art shows, doing live paintings. Just did a live painting last week, and just looking forward to more opportunities doing that. Um, More opportunities to hosting my own events. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'm a self-taught artist. Like, I had prior training when I was in high school. How to mix paint or learn about different hues and tints,
Mm,
shades, how to blend paint. You
right.
know, not having formal teaching. I kind of just taught myself my own different techniques on how to paint.
Mm. I guess how did you take to architecture when you were doing that for the 3 years? Did it help you with your artistry, or did it feel like it
Yeah.
was kind of dulling you down a little bit?
Well, actually, what architecture did is to help me define more, balance and unity between, you know, um, certain spatial design and also, I learned, definitely a lot about other architects, and
Mm,
the history of architecture.
gotcha. Right.
That's more important than anything, because understanding, how things are constructed, how materials put together
Mm,
is very important. And learning, how the actual building breathes.
mm,
That's just the anatomy, of studying people, and that's how it kind of connected. Learning, about building systems, learning
yeah.
about, human systems,
Mm,
and I was able to pay attention more to detail, and
mm,
that's one of the things that I learned, from architecture, that the devil is in the details. So, you know, they helped me to pay close attention to, creating realistic paintings.
gotcha. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's funny. I remember somebody described like one of the few times I don't remember if you met Janikis Harper whenever you were in school because she started architecture, but she just did like the summer program and then went over to construction. And every now and then you would see an architecture student over in the food court. And I think a couple of times you helped me out with the haircut when I still had hair. But one of the projects was like when you guys had this open space and then you had to conceptualize putting something in the space to make it work. But
Yeah,
it's one of the things I didn't realize about architecture when you think about city planning and like why people go to Europe to visit these old cities that still look great. But then when you look at different cities, whether they look just like big blocks or just it just
yeah.
doesn't seem like it works well. Is that something you ever considered like city planning or doing something like grand scale like that?
And you know what? The sky is the limit,
Mm,
and I always joke about it, and maybe I need to do some city planning, because I drive around and I look at, even living in Atlanta, I'm like, things I could have, that I would do differently,
yeah.
than what somebody else would. It's already a big issue growing up in Atlanta and already seeing everything segregated.
Mm,
So that's due to certain, incomes,
yeah.
certain individuals that want to live in certain areas, but you know, it just comes with gentrification,
Yeah.
and that's all part of my experiences, So when I'm telling a story, about painting, somebody standing out in the middle of the street,
Mhm.
you know, holding, an American flag. That's one of the pieces I'm working on right now. But it's something like that tells a story, and that's part of the culture and the history.
Yeah.
So and like I said, that's where I can relate to architecture because we as Black people we started building the pyramids and started graphic design. That's pretty much what we was able to learn from and grow and continue to create and invent. So that's that's the way I see art. In a nutshell.
Mm.
You know, it's something that we started, and it's almost like a stolen legacy.
Mm.
But I just as a creator, I just continue to create, and keep reminding people of our history.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm able to relate architecture to visual arts because I'm just basically telling a story. What we started.
Mm. I, I get. I didn't. I didn't used to think much about art before, like, say, early on. Like, it wasn't something that I had an appreciation for, but it's like over the years, whether it's like going to a museum or seeing what somebody creates through social media, I found it pretty interesting to like either listen to somebody or like have someone just kind of walking along and then all of a sudden they take a photo or they paint something, they create something that you just like, wow, that was in your head and you made it this thing. Or you see somebody painting upside down and then all of a sudden they flip it around and it's like, whoa, like, is that, like you say, being a creative and being someone that always has things going through your mind, is it hard to like switch it off, or is it as soon as something comes to you, you just gotta go to it, work on it until you get it out, and then like you can go on about your day?
Um, it's I can switch it off. You know, if I write it down,
Mm.
if I draw it out, that's the way to do it. Sketch. You know, that's part of it was being an artist.
Mm.
Documenting. So if I document it, and then I can just put it away. I can go back and work on it. You
Gotcha.
know, because you got so many different things coming at you that you seeing,
Yeah.
different vision. Even when you go to sleep at night, it's a vision you might have.
Yeah.
I woke up one morning and and I called it "Where Art Thou" is Mother Nature, and I came up with this whole idea of a woman, you know, growing into herself and traveling through space and time and finding out who she is and going through the struggle.
Mm.
And that all just came from a vision that I had when I was asleep. I just woke up and I just started just drawing on the canvas. And I don't think I just was drawing, it was just shapes.
Yeah.
But those shapes represented the woman.
Mm.
So what I did was I was able to create a lot of images from those shapes. You know, I was able to create an hourglass,
Mm.
you know, and in the hourglass it was half full, you know, and then one of the other pieces I created images was a boat moving, and then
Mm.
it was a woman, in three pyramids, and it was a woman traveling on a camel,
Mm.
and then it was another shape that looked like a candle. So
Yeah.
I said, you know what, I'm gonna paint a candle, and then that candle was a gold candle, a yellow candle,
Mm,
which means enlightenment.
mm,
So it's like she goes through these different experiences and traveling, and then she's enlightened.
mm,
And then on the candle was a painting of a woman, and she didn't have no face, and she didn't have any hands or any arms, you know. And what I was thinking was, I was like, often sometimes, we try to silence people, you
mm,
know, especially women. Like, we always feel like, I feel like sometimes we so judgmental, and it's a lot of things that women can do, that we don't acknowledge.
mm,
So that's what I was thinking, when I was creating that painting, how to make somebody powerful, but understanding like they may feel voiceless, you
mm.
know. So that's what I do. I try to inspire people to, you know,
Gotcha.
through my creations.
That's pretty cool. Like with some of the shows that you've been able to put on and be a part of, how how have people received your art? Is it easy for them to get, or do they have a lot of questions?
Yeah, yeah, they do have a lot of questions, and they see it or they, I don't know, some of the things that they come up with. I'm like, man, I never thought about that. I never looked at it that way.
Mm,
So, picture, tells 1,000 words.
yeah.
And you know, I just appreciate, when other people give me their perspective,
Mm,
on how they view my art, because that influences me to continue to create. That
right.
may influence the painting. I may uh, hear you say something, you know, and then I acknowledge it, and I
Mm,
might end up putting it, in my painting, my piece.
mm,
You know, somebody told me, it was like, man, you should probably, add more clouds in the background and maybe put something out, like a sign in the
yeah.
distance, to get people's attention to see if they actually notice the sign. So, it's certain aspects or, things that I take into consideration when people talk about or discuss my art, because I'm like, it's just only like food for knowledge. It's only gonna make me a better artist because I'm acknowledging other people's experiences.
Right.
Yeah, and making them relate to the art. That's how get people to relate. You know,
Yeah.
and man, when they see the art, they like, man, I remember back, a time, take them back to a time. I remember when I was, playing in the street or something like that, or I remember one time, I was playing an instrument, because I took a picture of a guy playing the trumpet, in
Yeah.
the middle of the street. I remember one time I was playing the trumpet, and people came up to me and gave me money, and they just started a whole conversation.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about the paintings behind you?
So this piece over here, the guy with the red cap, some people think it looked like Trick Daddy, but it's not Trick Daddy. It's a actual person.
Yeah.
I was over on Bankhead on the west side, right across from the K&K Soul Food. I had spotted the guy, and I just saw him sitting. So I just asked him. I said, "Man, what you got going on today?" He said, "Man, I just got off work. I'm about to go home." I said, yeah, man, it looked like you just got off work. And then when I took that photo, I called it just got off.
Mm, I
And
like
so,
that.
yeah. And I just, I was listening to some music, and one of the people I was listening to was Peanut the Dunn,
Mm,
you know, because he got this album called Simset. So it's known as Simpson Road. So
okay.
that's why I was like, man, I was like near Simpson Road when I had took that picture. So it kind of just put me back in the time when I was listening
Mm,
to Peanut the Dunn riding down Simpson Road. So
gotcha.
I ended up putting on the some graffiti on there, and it said R.I.P. Peanut the
Mm,
Dunn. Yeah, so yeah, and then it had a hot wing stand. I had to get capture that because how most people love hot wings in the
Yeah.
South.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could go for some now. Now that you got me thinking about it.
yeah, and you see that pain, like man, I might want some hot wings. So it just I just like to tell some different stories. And I got certain characters and people that I took pictures of, photos of, and man, they see that stuff, they enjoy it.
Mm. Do you,
Uh,
do you
and
have
then
or go ahead.
this other one is this guy over here. Well, see it, but there's another one called Fly Guy, and he just out there standing in front of the liquor store, just posted up next to this Rolls Royce.
Mm.
So
Is this is
middle
his
piece.
face blurred out or
Well, actually, what's funny, man? This pan, I
oh
still
no, now
forget.
I see his face.
You
Gotcha. My
see his
bad.
face,
Yeah,
but what's funny is when I showed the guy the painting, and
yeah.
what he told me. He said that don't look like. I said, yeah, I know it doesn't, but he said, you the artist? I said, yeah, I know, but I'm still working on it. It's not finished.
Mm.
But just him critiquing me
Yeah,
just lets me know that, hey man, I need to pay more attention to detail. So he's like, man, that's not even my skin color, my skin tone. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm still working on it, but just to get that feedback is important,
yeah,
especially like, from other creators and other artists, because they're gonna let you know, hey, this don't look like me,
yeah.
you know, especially when it comes to doing portraits. But I never really had an issue with portraits. That's something that I was pretty much just trained on.
Mm.
I trained myself to do more portrait work than anything.
Gotcha.
And now it's like I like doing full pictures, landscapes and maybe even add an abstract as well. And yeah, you can see like this is a portrait I did of D'Angelo, you
Mm.
know. But I go back and I work on my skills. I see if I can get better at doing more portrait work.
Mm. Is it hard to go back and touch up something after someone's given you feedback on it, or do you get some to where
Um,
it's like once you get it there, you don't want to mess with it too much?
no, it's not hard to go back. It's just tedious because it just takes time to focus. Especially like on a small piece like that. I
Mm.
have to use tiny brushes.
Mm.
I use tiny brushes just to get the facial features right. You don't have to exactly look like the person,
Yeah.
but it needs to look somewhat like them. You
Mm.
know, because I'm not going to be able to capture every detail in that smaller painting. You
Mm.
know, but I can at least make it look have it look just like him. You
Mm.
know. So we gonna see in about a week because I'm gonna finish that painting up. I'm like, all right, this is the one.
Gotcha.
And I know when I'm finished with the painting because I'll stop looking at it. You know, and that's one thing. If I'm not finished with the painting,
Mm.
I will work on it and work on it until I can't work on it.
Mm.
So I'm like, man, you know what? I think I'm done, and I know when I'm done
Yeah.
because I won't question the painting. You know,
Mm.
because when I'm looking at my paintings, you know, I see if the painting is actually going to talk back to me. If the painting
What's that
doesn't,
dialogue like?
this don't look good. You need to
Oh.
start over. Or you need to add this.
Mm.
It can be as small as a simple stroke,
Yeah.
a simple stroke, or it might be something I need to highlight. To bring more attention to.
Gotcha.
So it just certain details, that I want to see or that other people, can see, and they're like, "Oh man,
Mm.
you really detailed." Like, and that's what I want people to see in my art. Even like when I sign my paintings,
Yeah.
you know, I put my signature somewhere where people wouldn't expect it to be. You know,
Mm. So it's not
just like
always in the same bottom right
yeah,
corner.
yeah, it's not always in the corner. I might have a window with a window sill,
Mm.
and I may write my name on the window sill.
Mm.
You know, or one time I did a painting and I had wrote my name on the top of a building wall,
Yeah.
you know, in graffiti.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh wow. Or and then one time I had did this, I had the inside of a store, like you can see from the storefront. I had the inside of the store and it had a painting, an abstract piece I did.
Yeah.
And I don't do too many abstract pieces, but you go back and looking at paint, you're like, oh, it's a dope abstract piece. And then I got my signature on the bottom right corner of the abstract piece that's inside the store.
That's pretty cool. I mean, it might sound cliche, but that's pretty creative.
Yeah, I just don't, tell too many people. They just have to look for it.
Yeah.
And then he was like, man, I didn't even see that in the paint. Look, when you showed it to me the first time, I was like, yeah, it's why you gotta look at the paint and actually study the paint.
Gotcha.
That's how you get to know the artist.
Mm. So I guess have you gone completely away from construction work and like architecture and just focused on making art specifically?
I still do construction. You
Gotcha.
know, I gotta eat.
Right,
So
right. That's one of the things I was kind of spinning in the back of my mind. I was like, what do you think of like the starving artist thing? Is it you go all in on that, or it's like, no, just make sure the bills are paid and still make time to do this? Like you're able to balance both of them some way.
yeah, man, if I was just doing art, all the time, I think I would not be balanced.
Mm,
You know, because like I said, construction is so heavy, so part of my life that people ask me to do an assignment
yeah.
like build an accent wall or can you come and do some repairs on my house or can you come and paint the inside of my house?
Mm,
That's something that I'm not gonna turn
gotcha.
down.
So you're so even with construction, you're still sticking to things that are hands-on, not necessarily you're managing a project from a distance or you're running a crew or doing like a fix and flip type thing.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like, if I'm doing a paint job, yeah, I'm gonna have a crew. I ain't gonna be doing it by myself. So,
Right, right.
the management part is still there, but it's less stressful.
Gotcha.
You know, I don't
But
have to manage the entire project.
right.
I can just
But
do certain.
any chance you can get your hands on something, you're there with it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Gotcha. That makes sense. That is a good balance because it's like instead of I don't know if you remember these memes where it's like they used to have what people think I do, what I thought I would be doing, and then it's like what I actually do from like going out there being like, hey,
yeah,
you're directing traffic to when you're just sitting behind a computer, moving
yeah,
Excel
yeah, yeah,
spreadsheets or something like that.
yeah. That's exactly how it is. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. And
I
do you
just,
go ahead?
yeah, I just, one of the things I didn't like about being corporate is just wearing suits and ties and dressing up all day. And I was like, man, I would just want to be relaxed. You
Mm,
know, Everything doesn't have to be so structured. And that's why, I like the art because, it helps me be free. But then, I go back into that mode, when I do construction, I'm like, all right, it has to be structured.
mm,
You have to write down everything that we want to do.
yeah.
It has to go in this timeline because if I don't get it done, in this time period, I'm gonna lose money. I have to
Mm,
pay for extra materials if something go wrong. So it's like it always has to be on point. You
mm.
know.
It's a good point. I guess you need a little bit of both to where, like you say, you can't do all art or just all structure. You got to have like a nice pairing, a pairing of both.
Yeah. I just wish I could do more. of combining the art with the construction.
Mm.
So if somebody could just be like, hey man, we want you to come out here and design my room, and build out my space,
Yeah.
you know, and do like this cool design on the wall,
Mm.
after you paint my room.
Right.
And so, I'm not just getting construction money, I'm getting art and construction money too.
Got you.
So yeah, I'm just looking for somebody to hire me to do that. Just,
Well,
trying to dream big.
I'm sure I'm sure with seeing this, like being in Atlanta, I would think that there's always an opportunity around the corner because it's weird because like even just driving through Atlanta now and not living there, it seems like there's always something going on, but you could be just a neighborhood away. But if you're not kind of tapped into what's going on locally, it's like people still live like worlds apart, even within minutes of each other. But then again, with like Atlanta traffic, trying to get somewhere where it's supposed to be 30 minutes, it might take you up to an hour, just depending on like what all's going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
But with all the art that you've been able to make so far, do you like keep like a gallery of it, or are people able to check it out in any kind of way?
Yeah, so you can go to my website and you can check out my artwork. It's my first name, last name.com.
Okay.
MarquesMcClide.com. And I have a shop on there. I have my biography. You want to know more about me, and if you want to hit me up in the DM, you want to start a project, available, to answer any questions that you have about, art and construction and design.
Yeah.
It's basically what my business is centered around:
Mm.
art, construction, and design. And when you go to my website, you'll see my live paintings that
Mm.
I've done in the past. I have footage that, and you also see some of my gallery work and
Okay.
one of my museum exhibits is on my website as well. And also, I have hoodies
Mm.
as well, on my website. So I also, put my art on clothes as well.
Got you. Oh, that's cool. So like with that, do you just screen print them direct, or how do you do the your art on the clothing?
So I just go through a company, that does the screen print,
Got
and once you click the order,
you. Mm.
I notify the company, and then they ship it directly to you. So
Okay, cool.
I don't have to package anything. The only thing I do is package art.
Mm.
And, I ship out art or I deliver, if it's local.
Got you. Do you keep any special pieces for yourself, or do you have like you try
No,
to
they
keep
all for
anything?
sale.
Got you.
I don't want to keep anything.
Okay.
Everything is for sale. That's the one thing about being an artist. So I don't want to get attached to my artwork, because I'm not making art for myself.
Got you.
Yeah, and that's one thing, I get away from, because when I create art, it's to put it out there for other individuals to enjoy it.
Mm.
And I do enjoy my art.
Yeah.
So, it's funny because I used to have pieces hung up, all the time, and then I took them down, and I just like, you know what? I'm just gonna get rid of all this. I
Yeah.
can't just hold on to art. It's no benefit to me. If art just sitting around and it's not being used or being
Right.
perfect for anything. So if somebody wants the art and it's available, hey, it's yours. You
Mm.
can take it home with you. You can share it with your family and friends. You can give it to your significant other or your friends, for a gift. Christmas is coming up, so a lot of people, they spend their money on certain things that you can easily throw away.
Mm.
Art is art is something of value, and people should take more consideration on owning the piece. Because you're keeping the artist alive.
Yeah.
By supporting the artist.
Yeah.
That's essentially what we should do. Because a lot of times we see the art. and you know, we don't realize how much effort and time is put into the artwork. So, if I had more money, I would buy everybody's art.
Mm.
You know, because I love collecting art as well.
Yeah.
But you know, my funds are not that long enough to do that.
I guess do you have pieces of art that you've collected from other people that you've kept for years on end?
Well, you know what? I got a piece, a print from this artist named John Glover,
Mhm.
and I ain't framed the print yet. That's the thing, man. I don't have nowhere to hang it right now.
Mhm.
you know, and I don't know. I had stopped hanging up art on my wall, but I got at least two pieces hung up.
Yeah.
And one of the pieces is an Outcast piece.
Mm.
So that's one of my favorite groups.
Yeah.
So but I want to get rid of that painting. And I got another piece that's inspired by Pink Floyd, so that's hung up, and it's just there for inspiration. You
Yeah.
know,
It's
that's
funny that like or my bad.
oh no, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna say talking about this art, it takes me back to that um early semester, when they used to have the poster things come to school and
Oh
then
yeah,
they'd have a section you could go through Walmart, but it was either posters.com or something like that, and you could go through there and like pick out what you wanted to decorate your room with, and then you hang up something in your dorm room and then you move over to the apartments. And it's always interesting to just see like there's the popular things, but then when you move into art that's more um individualized, like somebody took the time to create it. And I mean, the graphic stuff, it is creative in its own way, but it just seems like it's different overall, and it's not the same touch. But it is nice when you find something that resonates with you and you're like, okay, like I want that over here and I want that over there. And you just think about um having something on the wall versus just having blank spaces. And having
yeah,
moved around so much from college to working, moved to different states and things like that. Like for the longest time, my walls were just blank, so it looked like either nobody lived there or you move in, you're going to move out within a couple months, within the year. And now it's like, okay, if I'm at a place where I can enjoy where I'm going to live, and I'm going to, even if it's not for long, it's just like, hey, let me make this more home like. And
yeah,
going to like Walmart or Hobby Lobby and picking up something like I picked up a sign that said "Don't forget your roots," and I was like, "Oh, that kind of resonates with me." It's simple. It's like on this wood
yeah,
paneling, and I was like, I can put that up. And even if I look at it, don't look at it, think about it. Now, when I look up, it's like I see something that's like this is where I can call home, and it just it's gone a long way to just teach me personally that there's like value in everything, or in just different things at different stages of life. And sometimes it takes just experiencing something to be like, oh, like I could use that. And
yeah,
then like you said, once you have your own pieces and you're like, well, no, this has got to this has got to be for other people, not for me.
yeah, yeah.
Man, that's
It's good to go in the store and find something. You
yeah.
know, um, that's what I want to do. Just go and just buy stuff from
Mm,
different artists, and I would hang their pieces on my wall.
mm,
Because I like to see something different.
yeah. Have you ever seen like a piece of art that's scared you, or just like maybe brought out an emotion in you that you're just like, ugh, like I wasn't expecting that, but I'm kind of lingering around to see like why is it making me feel this way?
Oh, oh, that's a good question. Thought about that. Um, hmm, man, I don't know. I really don't know. A piece that has just like made me feel, brought out a certain emotion. I don't know, man, because like my emotions like has changed over time. You
Mm,
know, um, I want to say I remember I was at the High Museum, and it was a Virgil Abloh exhibit,
mm,
and he had these people like it was models, and they were just like on this kind of stage, and then on the back of the wall, or on the front of the wall, it says that you're obviously in the wrong place. I don't know if you saw that,
mm,
but I don't know, man. I guess I see, and I do social justice art, but when I see art like that, that kind of just like that's where the emotion comes in,
mm.
you know, because it's like let me remember where I came from. Like this is why I'm doing art.
Mm.
So and then I think about if I was to stop doing art, what would that look like?
Yeah.
You know, because it's a constant grind. It's a constant struggle um, to I guess be who I am and represent who I am, and,
Mm,
and to live in in a society where we not truly always accepted.
mm.
So that's what emotion I get from when I see certain art like that. Where it says you're obviously in the wrong place
Mm,
because like let me find my place.
mm.
You know, let me create my own lane. So that's essentially what I did. I think I just stopped being afraid of not creating and
Mm.
just create. Because it's who I am. So I shouldn't stop doing that. You
Yeah.
know.
Have you had a chance to go back to the elementary school or high school where you trained, or been able to see similar students kind of come up in that same training?
I mean, my elementary school it was tore down, so
No.
so they don't exist no more. It's just like, but high school still exists. But I went there not too long. I say a few years ago. You
Yeah.
know, and it's pretty much the same. You
Gotcha.
know, pretty much the same thing. Um, ain't too much change.
It's like
you
that's
know,
either a
I,
good thing or a bad thing.
it's a good thing because we're still teaching people the arts and still dedicating time to show people the way
Yeah.
whatever way that is.
Yeah.
And, you kind of have to just be mindful because the arts don't get that much support,
Yeah.
and that's how it's always been. But we need pioneers and leaders and people, to continue to, um, to set the footprints for people to follow.
Yeah. Hopefully people can take a little bit from yourself. And I remember seeing this podcast about these gentlemen. They were talking more so about like European art, but they were talking about an idea of maybe taking people that are artistic with people that are more structure oriented and trying to blend them together to improve something like city planning, to kind of try to make the world beautiful again, at the same time
Yeah,
that people are talking about like, oh, things are bad, but it's like things are better than they've ever been. But at the same time, it's like it's you're getting a lot of what you want, but at the same time it just feels like we're not doing as good as we could. But it's like there's like the opportunities right there, and you don't know what the next year right around the corner is going to bring up. And like you said, instead of overthinking it or being like, is this going to be worth it? You just got to creating and you found yourself in the opportunities where they they came to you and kind of made the most of it as much as you could.
Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Yeah, just making use of the opportunities that come. You know,
Yeah.
taking advantage of every opportunity. Because if you don't do it, and then you just gonna get lost. You know, it's like as soon as I see an opportunity, come on my board or come through my email, or it's like, hey, it's there for a reason, so you can you know look into it,
Yeah.
or pass it up, because you never know, what could come of it. So, even when, you asked me to do an interview, for the podcast, I'm like, cool, why not? It's not going to hurt to do an
Yeah.
interview, get on the phone and talk to a friend, and, this is good, for, for everyone, for both of us, for people to continue to create this dialogue.
Yeah. But I appreciate you doing it. And for anyone that doesn't know, let them know how they can get a hold of you and just continue to follow your journey.
Oh yeah, hey, people can contact me via phone, because I'm old school, so I had the same number since 2004. My number hasn't changed at all. And, man, why you can give out your phone? Yeah, because I want people to contact me directly. People are like, oh man, give me your Instagram. I'm like, give my Instagram. I'm probably not gonna remember you that often. But
Yeah.
if you hit me up on the phone, and text, I may not text back
Yeah.
all the time, but at least I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, now I remember that person. I gave my phone number. We exchanged information. So, you know, um, my phone number is same 404-246-0704. And if people want to find me on Instagram, they can type in I am King Manuel underscore. And some people may type in IAM, but no, it's I am. People do that all the time. Like, man, no, it's I know I'm from Atlanta. I may slur my words every now and then, or or we may not enunciate all our words or syllables, because people from Atlanta say I'm from Atlanta. They forget the T. That was even there. It's a T right next to ANTA. So yeah, I'm that King Manuel underscore.
I appreciate you, LeMarques. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure catching up with you. It's getting to know people like yourself, Laron. I think that's what made going from North Georgia to just outside of Atlanta worthwhile, and just seeing that, how would you say, culturally, intellectually, all different things like that. Culture is a, like, let me slow down. Like, culture is what you make it, but everyone coming from different walks of life, we still get to play a bigger part in each other's lives. And just being
yeah,
able to, like, fast forward, say, 20 years, and we see, like, man, we're still doing good in life. It's not too bad. And everyone, from what we love doing as kids, we're getting to do that now on a bigger stage as adults. And then it's like, wow, all we are just like bigger kids that get to make the way with our parents and those that came before them, and then those that'll come after us.
yeah, yeah.
This was fun catching up, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the catch up, man. Yeah, it's been a long time.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot, man. Yeah,
Yes,
and I
sir.
appreciate the interviewing, man. I appreciate you doing this, putting this out, So yeah, man, keep doing good. Yeah.
I will.